Hi everyone, it's Veroosh. Welcome to my channel. I'm excited to be here with you guys today to do this video for the Mercury Retrograde. And today's important because Mercury Retrograde this year is happening between Libra and Virgo, or this third one this year. And before it, Mercury actually transits a very key spot in Virgo that is happening tomorrow after filming August 13th. So I wanted to tell you guys about all of the transits and do a reading for every single sign. And so, yeah, I'm excited to be here with you guys to tell you about it. As I was doing this, I literally filmed an hour of this video with the sound off. So you're getting the second round of me recording this, which is probably for the best because I did fumble my words a bit much. And I just think it's funny that for Mercury Retrograde, I filmed the video with the sound off. Bad luck, whatever. Usually I find that if something happens with the first filming, it's usually for the best and I end up explaining it better the second time. So I hope you guys enjoy that. We're going to talk about astrology first. So I'll do an astrology explanation for this transit now, and then I'll do a sign-by-sign explanation for every sign. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Stick around and enjoy. So the light is coming in, and I just think it's nice. So we'll flip the chart around this time. Which is going to probably throw me off a little bit, but that's okay. And so, yeah, so let's go through why the way this Mercury retrograde is working astrologically, and then we'll talk about every sign. Do watch for your sun, moon, and rising to get a holistic view of what's going on. Usually your moon reading is what people don't watch for, and I think you should, because oftentimes it's speaking to like a heart-centered place or a more introspective take on the energies. So I want to encourage you guys to watch for your moon if you don't already. You can watch for many different transits, but let's not talk about that now. If you want a reading with me, it's in the description. Members, I am going to do the mutable sign August overview and into September. I've done the cardinal one and the fixed sign one. They're in the description, and mutable sign is next. I might actually do that. No, I think I'll make it today, depending on how I feel. I was going to do it today, but of course, I filmed this twice. I have to film this twice. Okay, so here is our chat about Mercury retrograde. I did a long form video at the beginning of the year in which I talked about the 3 different transits of Mercury retrograde this year. And so you can find that in the description. I'll also put it at the end. I talk about this particular one in there as well, but this is more of a deep dive into this energy, so I thought it would be helpful. So Mercury retrograde will start at the end in September. However, already in August, there's things happening with Mercury that you want to be aware of that tie into that energy in September. So let's talk about August 1st, and then we'll explain the September retrograde cycle so you can see the whole thing together. So on August 13th, Mercury enters 15th degree of Virgo. 15th degree of Virgo is the exalted degree for Mercury, in Virgo. So Mercury is exalted in the entire sign of Virgo. It rules the sign of Virgo. But at the 15th degree, it is this special exalted degree, 1 degree in 360 degrees. Every single planet has one, and Mercury's exalted degree is 15 degrees of Virgo. So on August 13th through the 14th, Mercury transits this position, and this is a powerful position for Mercury. And I already told you guys on the full moon video that you want to pay attention to this because astrologically a lot has been going on with the big square. You can see this here. alongside the full moon that just happened in Aquarius on the 11th. A lot of things may have been kicked up. There's a big tension energy with the nodes as the sun, Saturn, and the moon have been squaring the nodes, creating this big grand cross. So it's a tension energy, which means that for you, things may have come up. There may be a lot of stuff going on around at this time that is frustrating or complicated. I talked about this in the full moon reading, so go watch that video. It still applies. And maybe I'll do more on that when we talk about the nodes. But just know that if things are a little crazy for you right now, it makes sense because there's this grand cross and we've had this massive conjunction at the beginning of August between the North Node, Uranus, and Mars, and that has happened for the first time in Taurus since 1855. And that is all squaring Saturn, which was a pattern from 2021 in which Uranus and Saturn were at a square. And now Uranus and Saturn are once again coming closer into a square in the fall. So the tension has risen. It is rising. Look at patterns. Look at things that are coming up. However, that's not what we're here for today. So I'm just mentioning if things are a little bit cuckoo right now, if they're a little crazy, then this is why, if things are a little bit all over the place. Okay. However, this energy for Mercury is actually very positive. It's constructive and it's helpful. And that's why I'm here today, because I know many of you may feel tired, overwhelmed. There might be a lot of pressures upon you at this time. So I thought, let's do this so you can see the energy that is a complement or a solution or some kind of positive element in the sky at this time. So Mercury is forming this transiting the 15th degree between August 13th through the 14th. The exact moment at which Mercury will leave the 15th degree of Virgo is 8 a.m. Pacific time on August 14th. So if you're east of that, you want to adjust that with Google from Vancouver Pacific time to your time zone, 8 a.m. on the 14th. So between the 13th and the 14th, Mercury is in this degree and it's special. When it leaves this degree, it's still special because it's still in rulership in Virgo, and it's also in an exalted position in the sign of Virgo, but that 1 degree is the 13th through the 14th this year. So sometimes Mercury transits this position once, sometimes it transits this position up to 3 times, depending on the retrograde cycle. So this year, the retrograde cycle is between air sign and earth sign. So Mercury is beginning its retrograde cycle in the air signs. So Libra, Gemini, and Aquarius. And then at the beginning of those signs, and then will retrograde or has retrograded into the last degrees of the earth signs, so Capricorn, Taurus, and now Virgo. And so this is the pattern this year. So this year Mercury only transits the 15th degree once, because it will only reach the 24th degree of Virgo once it finishes its retrograde. However, in 2023, the retrograde cycle will be completely in the earth signs, so Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo. And so therefore, Mercury will transit the 15th degree 3 times next year, moving forward, retrograde back, and then over again. So that's something to look forward to. There's probably going to be some very constructive communication that comes along with that, but we'll talk about that there. So this is a special day in which you can communicate about important things. And because the rest of the energy is sort of intense, and maybe a lot of things have come up, the retrograde or this transit over the 15th degree can be very helpful. Not only this, if you were watching my full moon video, you know I've already pointed it out. that as there is a lot of tension on the nodes because the squares are on them, which is called bending of the nodes, which means that the midpoint between the north and the south node, there's transits there, so that adds a lot of tension to the flow of the energy. We'll talk about that more later, but that's just to acknowledge the energy as it is. Because there's so much tension on the nodes, Mercury in this position is very helpful because as it transits this position, it creates something called a mystic rectangle. And that will be with the help of the moon for some degree. This is Juno, the wife of Jupiter. Very, very good energy as well. And so the mystic rectangle is a powerful alignment of different transits that allows us to revisit and try different approaches to the same problem in different ways for different outcomes or for different resolution. So that means if you're having communication problems with people, this is going to give you an opportunity to try things from a different perspective and work on those problems from different angles until you find a good solution. So in other words, on the 13th or 14th, you really want to lean in. You really want to try with communication with others, resolve communication problems, and try to instigate conversations, healthful conversations, in order to improve relationships and different types of situations. Because everything is kicked up, because the dust is kicked up and there's a lot of tension from this big grand cross, this square allows you to talk about it, and with the conjunction of Uranus, North Node, and Mars. So this is the first major transit that helps us to deal with whatever's come up. So in other words, I'm encouraging you to use this transit, whatever's going on, try to use it to your advantage, because in a few weeks, the energy shifts and new things begin, and you have this opportunity now to build something really great and address maybe some of the tension that's been on the nodes until now. Wonderful stuff. At the same time as this is happening, there is that opposition between Sun and Saturn. That's a part of this big grand cross. The grand cross is a tension between all 4 points, and the 4 points are Saturn, North Node, Sun, and South Node. That's a big deal. But the opposition between Sun and Saturn can make us feel as though this is a time at which we're looking at our life's big problems. And so Mercury in Virgo at 15 degrees can really facilitate positive communication in order to address the things that we're seeing in Saturn in Aquarius, whatever's come up. So good energy. I really like it there, and enjoy it. So that's the Mercury Exalted. So the energy really begins for the retrograde period on the 13th through the 14th of August. However, the retrograde itself starts in September. So let's talk about the retrograde a little bit. So Mercury enters Libra on the 25th of August. And so this is a key position at which time the energy slightly shifts. If you notice, we have lots of transits in the earth signs. North Node with Uranus and Taurus, the new moon here on the 27th of August between the sun and moon in Virgo, and Pluto in Capricorn. So strong earth energy supported by some quite strong water energies. And if you don't know in astrology, water and earth go together, fire and air go together. So when we're kind of grouping them together, we see it that way. And so there's that, the energy is with water and earth for the majority of August. But when Mercury enters into Libra, there's a significant change. On the 20th of August, Mars enters Gemini and will be there until March 25th, 2023. There's a retrograde cycle that will happen in Gemini as well, so we'll talk about that separately, but just to acknowledge that Mars is moving into an air sign and will be there for until next year. And Mercury entering into Libra, also an air sign, really shifts the energy towards a heightened focus or adding more air quality to what's going on. And air is everything to do with the mind, thoughts, and ideas. Okay, so we have this energy shift from water and earth, which is quite slow moving, to a little bit more air, which brings in a little bit more change. Maybe this is the good time to also acknowledge that alongside this new moon, and we'll do a separate video on the new moon, there is a grand trine, a loose one, between Pluto, Mars, and Mercury. This grand trine begins while Mercury and Mars are still in the Earth signs. However, continues as they transit into Gemini and Libra, the air signs. That grand trine continues with Pluto. And so for me, this grand trine is going to have a lot of, it's a very active grand trine because Mars is action, Mercury is communication, Pluto is power. This can have far-reaching consequences. I don't want to be pessimistic about it. However, if you are trying to achieve something, this will give you a lot of energy. And if you are in conflict, you better watch out, and you want to stay away from getting into arguments or some kind of fighting, because once these transits move into the air signs, then things can really speed up and escalate. The other thing is, though, if you feel like you have to address an issue that's been unjust and it involves a lot of communicating, talking, reasoning with others, this could actually be to your benefit as well, because of course, in an air sign, we're getting litigious, we're getting cerebral, we're able to speak. Mars governs communication as much as Mercury does through the mouth. So Mars is talking. So if you need to debate someone, if you need to talk about something or reason something out, this might be actually in your favor. So it might be crazy, but it might be actually the crazy that you need. And so we'll talk about this more alongside the new moon video for the new moon in Virgo that's coming up soon. But just to acknowledge that on August 25th, as Mercury enters Libra, and on August 20th, as Mars enters Gemini, we're seeing a switch in the energy towards cerebral air signs. So Mercury will be in Libra until the 8th degree, and that's going to be on September 9th. And that's when Mercury turns station and begins its retrograde cycle back into Virgo. So Mercury will be retrograde between September 6th and September 23rd, at which point it will enter Virgo, continue in retrograde until October 2nd, and then turn direct at 24 degrees Virgo, and then re-enter Libra on October 11th. So it is very much that hovering position between the Libra and Virgo. And how does that apply? I talked about this in our video at the beginning of the year, but there's a very specific pattern with regard to Mercury this year, because it's all starting in air signs and finishing up in earth. So things that involve ideas and the mind is where Mercury starts. And then there's a practical application of whatever you're thinking about or whatever is going on with regard to ideas. So it must have been in January, there was the retrograde cycle that began in Aquarius, and then Mercury entered Capricorn. And then that kind of brought it down to the ground. Whatever ideas were up in the air were brought down to earth and in some way had a practical consequence or effect. And then in May, I think it was, sorry, I'm forgetting which month, but Mercury was retrograde in Gemini and then once again entered into Taurus. I remember that was a lot of Algol energy. That's when Mercury sort of hovered alongside Algol, and there was a lot of I remember there was a lot of, wartime sort of scary moments, and a lot of people had a lot of stuff come up with regard to it. And so that's very similar energy to Mars in Gemini. So you might want to look back to May, June to see if there's a correlation between now and then based on Mars. So there might be some kind of overlap, but that also brought things down in a practical sense. Hopefully you had figured out some problems and found some practical solutions. And then now finally the third and last of these retrograde cycles, and Mercury begins in Libra and then enters into Virgo. And so for me in Libra, you know, the peacemaker and are some types of documents or sometimes of agreements. My intuitive take on this is that something to do with ideas or prospects or things you want to begin, you may actually implement now, and you may actually see some really constructive success towards outcomes. So in other words, you may have ideas or you may have something in your mind that you want to create. As Mercury turns retrograde, you may actually get a second stab at it, get a second chance, and therefore figure out a way to make things happen. This could be soliciting support from others, because Libra is the 7th house. This could be convincing others to help you. This could be talking with others, bringing others on board on a project. This could be introducing a project or an idea to others to see how they respond. So this is really a good time for action, to bring your ideas into reality and see the practical manifestation in Virgo through hard work, seeing some kind of positive outcome. So it's kind of an exciting time, and I want you to look forward to it. Now, I'm not saying that this Grand Cross that we were just seeing here is not going to be an effect, nor is the North Node Uranus Mars conjunction gone or something to look over. They're still there. There's still tension energy, especially Uranus and Saturn will continue into the fall into a square, but we'll talk about that separately. So I'm not saying that there's not tension energy in the chart. I'm just trying to point out that there's something constructive here that you can focus on, that you can bring into reality some kind of wonderful energy. And so you can make something happen for yourself with this. So in other words, some type of idea, Libra, air sign, cerebral, you can actually implement or work towards bringing into reality, or a situation may come up that will facilitate for you making ideas real. This could be a wonderful time for you to get a patent or a trademark on an idea that you thought of and see the outcomes of that. This would be an interesting time to go back into a contract and renegotiate it to get the best type of outcome for what you want. If you're superstitious about signing contracts during Mercury retrograde, you may want to wait until October 2nd. That's when Mercury turns direct in Virgo, and then you can get another chance at it, or you can wait until Mercury enters Libra on October 11th and then sign again. But it's a second chance. So whatever is the thing that you're trying to create, this is a great time for making things work in your life and work in your favor. There's a couple nice new moons alongside of all these transits that I want to kind of foreshadow for you. We'll definitely talk about them more as we get closer to it, but the first one we've already seen, which is the new moon in Virgo, and so that is happening on the 27th. I really like this new moon because, again, it's giving some kind of a new start, although this new moon, in my opinion, is attached. I'll talk about it in a separate video, but it's a thing in and of itself, in other words. So we'll talk about that separate, but it is sort of its own entity. However, the new moon in Libra at the beginning of October is really nice. Or no, sorry, September 25th is really nice because Venus will be in Virgo right at the end. And the moon, Mercury, and the sun will be in this position. So it's going to be a massive stellium on the cusp of Virgo and Libra. And so therefore that new moon is going to coincide very well with this. This will include Cazimi, which is when Mercury is in the same degree as the sun. And that Cazimi is actually happening at 0 degrees of Virgo on September 23rd. So just 2 days before the new moon. And so, or no, that's the new moon. What am I talking? No, sorry. I'm like, I'm telling you guys this and I'm like, Veroosh, you're explaining it so good. Yeah, it's good that you did it again instead of, it's good that it didn't work out. And then I mess up. Okay, so sorry. The Cazimi happens 2 days before the new moon. The new moon is, of course, the sun and the moon together. And so the sun will be with Mercury on September 23rd at 0 degrees of Libra. So that's really nice, and it really energetically is working well together with the rest of these transits. So look forward to that. So in other words, August 13th is where things start. This is where you can start paying attention and seeing what you want to do. By the time Mercury starts entering Libra on August 25th, there may be a situation or an opportunity around that you want to be paying attention to. And over the next month, while Mercury turns retrograde, you may have a chance at something again. If you overlook something, you might get a second chance. It's just a very nice energy to work with. So I hope you look forward to that. And the next Cazimi, which is Mercury with the sun, will actually happen in Scorpio. And that Cazimi will have a lot more to do with this new moon that I mentioned here. So we'll talk about that separately, but that Cazimi is going to be conjunct the South Node, and that will be a part of a new energy that's emerging with the new moon on August 27th. So there's a little bit of an overlap of different energies, but I hope that you see that Mercury this year, the Mercury retrograde, is something to look forward to. It has like some fresh start energy. It gives you the agency to start something new. Even if everything's not perfect, you might get a head start or a good start on something. So I hope you are excited about that. I think it's an exciting thing, and I think it's a good energy to work with. Okay, so why don't we do sign by sign videos now? And so I'll actually shift this. Oops, sorry. I'm trying to shift the chart over. There we go. So I can, let's see if this is the right one. Oh, it's not showing it. Hold on. Let me see. I did this the first time through. It worked really well, but oh, there we go. I have to switch the chart around a little bit. Okay. Now we're good. Okay, here we go. So why don't we do a sign by sign reading for every single person, every single sign. Watch for your sun, moon, and rising, and I'll just kind of tell you the energy for your sign, how it's working for you, and where maybe some of this energy is playing out, okay? And do watch for your moon, especially for things like Mercury retrograde, because a lot of them can be perceptive, which means that your perception of the world is being guided by Mercury retrograde. And so if you're watching for your moon, then you know where sort of to look. So there could be some valuable observations that you find there. Okay, so we start with Leo, and I'm filming during the last days of Leo season. So I want to wish you guys happy birthday again. I love this Leo card. It's so beautiful. So why don't we start off with a message for Leo astrologically? Okay, so Mercury retrograde for you at this time, this is a rethinking of something might not be sitting with you the way that you want it to be. In other words, you may have left a situation behind, Leo, financial situation, and you're not necessarily comfortable with where it's been left off. And you see that in your current environment, and through this retrograde cycle, you may actually change some things in your immediate environment to get the outcomes you want. So this Mercury retrograde is very good for that. Overall, you're under a lot of pressure, and you've been under a lot of pressure, especially if you have mid-degree Leo placements. So anything from 12 degrees to 22 degrees, it's been a lot. You've been under a lot of pressure, and so, and especially, there's right now other energies there, like the sun was there for the full moon in Aquarius on August 11th. And then here for the new moon in Virgo, we see Venus there. But so that's a supportive energy in both cases for you. But when Venus moves off of this position, it'll just be your placement, sun, moon, rising So it's a bit of a intense energy. Some of you might be feeling very judged by people around you, especially people you're close to. You might be feeling as though there's a lot of things in the way towards the things you want to achieve. So in other words, Mercury retrograde might be really helping you put some things in perspective, and especially if you've been distracted by other energies, okay? So let's see your energies. We have the Nine of Cups. Yeah, that's the Uranus and North Node in the 10th house for me when I look at that. It feels to me as though you really want something to happen. You see something for yourself that you really want to be a reality, and there's you looking up at the moon. And so you might have some dreams, some ambitions, hoping for something to come, but maybe you feel at the beginning of the retrograde cycle as if though things are out of your hands. Maybe there's a lot of pressure on you, as I said, and so you might feel helpless. Maybe by the end of the transit, you do something about it to set up the situation you want. In fact, you might want to pull away from some of the people, especially if they are being critical of you, or if somebody's putting undue pressure on you, or kind of criticizing you in some way, and recenter in terms of what you want. I think you're going to find something within your own heart. In other words, get in touch with your own feelings about what you truly want, and then put some action behind what you're feeling. So in other words, you might be really wanting to create something in your life, but feeling as though it's out of reach. And so through the retrograde cycle, you might identify some outside stressors that are holding you back from getting what you want. And there, in the privacy of your own space, you might reconnect with what's really important. Not their opinion, but what you really want. So very good. And then choose some action behind those feelings, okay? To start making it happen and bring it about. So you get two really nice new moons in the 2nd and 3rd house now. And so look forward to them. And that will lead to financial success and so forth. Okay, Taurus. These are not the signs I read for before. So this is my first time explaining this to your placements. And I did most of them last time, the first time I filmed this, but that's okay. Hi, Taurus. Let's take a look at this energy for you. I think that this is going back to the drawing board for you too, especially where you spend your time and energy. I think that you are recognizing that some of the places where you give time, especially for you, a theme is relationships that are sucking up your time, eating up your energy, have to be readjusted. And so through this Mercury retrograde, you might be spending a lot of time thinking about where your time is going. This means a situation may arise in which essentially where time is committed is an issue, and you might realize just how much it might bring to your attention, just how much energy you're spending towards others or attention. It feels as though there's this energy here of being a sounding board for someone or really listening, and you might realize that you're being overly sympathetic or overly giving with your time, and you need to take care of yourself. So we have this, and this might not be a personal issue. This may be just self-awareness. Maybe you're putting too much time into your job, and then you might realize that you need to put more time into yourself. So we have the Fool, which is Uranus. And so Uranus in your chart is right in this 1st house. And then we have 6 of Swords. So one other comment, and we haven't done this video yet, but the North Node Uranus-Mars conjunction is huge for you. It's the most important sign that it affected. Basically, in some way, a new part of the self is emerging for Taurus type people. And you may not be fully aware of what the implications of that are yet, but in years' time, a few months' time, you may look back at this time and say, wow, I really made a change. And 6 of Swords suggests that you're really leaving something. The next message is the World. Oh, Father of Wands, that's the King of Wands. Sag, Leo, or Aries. And then we have Lovers, which is Gemini. This is where Mars will be for the majority of the year into next year. I think Mars will be in Gemini for almost 9 months. and until March 2023. So pay attention to this. And for you, that's significant because Gemini is the second house. So whatever it feels as though this is a time management issue, the Mercury retrograde. And for you, what's on the heels of that is some financial or monetary driven opportunities. And so, you know, you may be becoming aware of where your time is going, and then that will lead to some financial moves that you will make in the future. We'll talk about Mars in Gemini later. So a new side of you is emerging, maybe some detachment from people that you've been giving time to or situations you've been giving time to, and maybe some new opportunities emerge, especially of a financial nature. So that's pretty exciting to see for you. Okay, I'm going through this fast because we did a whole video for the full moon, so you guys can watch that. It'll be linked at the end. Okay, so next is Aries. I did do Aries before, and yours is actually really exciting. So I'm excited to tell you about your transits. And of course, Aries chart always kind of coincides with the chart of the collective. So you guys can always watch the collective reading for a more personal reading. You guys get spoiled that way. So the astrology for the collective applies to you personally, maybe more than everyone else. For you, this is exciting. Mercury retrograde is actually happening over your descendant. That's the position through which you attract things in, especially people. So for you, relationships are going to go through a transformation. If there's a relationship that you had really hoped for, and maybe if it didn't work out or it didn't pan out, this is the time for a second chance. This is a time to reach out. This is a time to talk with your partner. And if it's not love relationships, business partnership, talking about what your thoughts or ideas are about something, that might be really coming to pass. There's also that new moon that I mentioned on September 25th. This is when Mercury will be in Virgo, and Venus will be here with the Sun and Mercury. Very exciting transit. This is right on your descendant, Aries. So be excited for that. A new relationship beginning for some of you, new established things with work. And with the Mercury transit over Virgo at 15 degrees on August 13th, you want to start looking forward to that. I know I'm a Virgo, I'm a planner. So look towards a month and a half and see if there's a pattern emerging. So again, I'm not discouraging the fact, or I'm not ignoring the fact that there may be tension. And for you, the tension has been in relationships, letting go of the past, restrictions from friends, wanting to do your own thing, maybe some romantic things that are with things in the way. So there may be stuff like that going on as well, but we're just focusing on Mercury retrograde on your descendant. So despite the fact that there may be some kind of tension in your life, this is a very nice transit that's uplifting, giving you an opportunity to have important conversations. So this might be very, very good for your work. Tell other people what your intentions are. Tell, if you really want to work with someone, tell them about it. All those kinds of initiate whatever it is that you want to bring in. The Fool, Uranus, and then we have the Nine of Cups. I feel like we just saw this. I've seen so many of these cards today from filming the first video. Something that you really want is coming to pass. My intuitive take on this is that don't hurry so quickly. If you're not getting what you want way up front in August, wait till September, because the real climax, the real intense, wonderful moment may happen for you alongside the new moon in Libra, 2 degrees. Or maybe 3 degrees. And then we have the Hanged Man, which is Neptune. Oops, sorry. Cards fell. So that's in the 12th house. There's a lot going on in behind the scenes for you. And so be patient if not everything is working immediately. There could be conversations that you're not aware of, positive ones, and there's definitely things that are happening that you're not seeing, but there's definitely things that are coming out of all of that that are very positive and in your favor. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to your time, and don't get discouraged if something's not happening for you as quickly as you want. The outcome that you want, the relationship you want, may actually show up for you in September if you're single. And if you're in a relationship, a great improvement in terms of a relationship may happen for you in September as well. So very exciting. September is looking good for you. So yes, be excited about that. And remember when I said that there's going to be a Cazimi in November 7th. It's going to be in your 8th house. That's going to be something very important in your life that's on a different topic. And so that's going to be quite intense. So try to do the fun things that you want in September, October. Don't sleep on opportunities, because something else is coming in that's going to need a lot of attention. It's not negative, but it's going to be something that involves a lot of change possibly, or something to do with the past. So just be mindful of that you're on a bit of a timeline here and you want to get things done early. So don't rush it in August. September and October are key, and then in November some other things may come up for you. Okay, Libra. I've done Libra before, but I don't quite remember what I've done, because this retrograde cycle begins in Libra, so that's exciting. And then we'll go, oh, that's right, goes into your 12th house. So for you, this is like a new side of you that's emerging. There's something about you that you want to bring to the forefront. And especially if you have a Libra moon, this might be a powerful moment for you in terms of coming to terms with something about yourself that you want to bring to others. So this is a very powerful moment. It's probably pretty private as opposed to like pretty external. I think that in terms of external things, I think that you're stepping out from amid a lot of social stuff going on, which means what I'm trying to say is things in your social life might be hectic, but not for you. People will be very busy, and a lot of your friends will be just sort of just busy or running around. And so I think that you'll detach yourself from that energy because it's going to be too hectic, and you're going to have this moment of getting in touch with yourself and asking yourself what you really want. You have this really big transit of Mars in Gemini that will be there until March 25th, 2023. This is going to be a very imaginative time. This is going to be a time when you reach for something that you want. This is going to be a great time for making a big change in your life and essentially go after something that your ideas are inspiring you to go after. This may also require a significant change from you, which you're already probably to some extent aware of. So there's a lot of transits here in which you're probably making quite a big decision to change things in your life. And yeah, so it's almost like you're stepping out of the room and spending some time thinking about it on your own. And that's leading you to make a pretty big change or go after something that you truly want. And especially during Virgo season, when the sun is in Virgo, it's going to become very introspective. And probably that new moon in Libra on September 25th is going to be really in your favor. And it's going to bring something out about yourself. Let's take a look at the cards. So we have the Death card, which is Scorpio. And so that's in the second house. You might be waiting for the Cazimi that I mentioned on November 7th in Scorpio with the South Node. So you might be waiting for a financial situation to resolve itself before you can actually move on from it, or whatever the consequences were, or reap the benefits of it. So there may be a payout for you on November 7th. Then we have the Two of Cups. There's no problem with friends. I don't see it as a bad time. In fact, there could be a lot of fun, but I think the core things around you at this time really are indicating that there's like an introspective very introspective moment. In other words, you have an idea, Mars in the 9th house, and you're realigning yourself to make it happen. We have there it is, 5 of Pentacles, South Node in the 2nd house. So that really suggests that there could be financial blockages, or you need more money to make things happen, but you are going to resolve it. This is Cancer or the Chariot. It's in the 10th house. This could also be a factor that you feel is slowing you down. Lilith is actually conjunct Sirius at the time when Mercury is at the time, like right through the end of August. So from the time that Mercury is with the 15th degree, Lilith will also be with Sirius, the dog star. So overall, this isn't the best Sirius Lionsgate energy this year because Lilith is there. It's very rare. It happens once every 10 years, and it doesn't always happen coinciding with the rising of Sirius. But what the effect of that could be for you, Libra, that at this time you feel more pessimistic about your prospects and opportunities. And that what I'm saying is that that's temporary. So by the end of September, Lilith will be off of Sirius, Mercury will be in Libra, and you will find a solution to your financial issues, and there will likely be a positive outcome in November 7th, with that Cazimi in which the Sun and Mercury and the South Node are with the South Node. The Sun, Mercury, and the South Node are together in Scorpio in your 2nd house. Okay, that was kind of intense. So let's take a look at the next message. Gemini, I've already done Gemini, so let's talk about it again. So that means that I've already talked this through, but hopefully you'll get like a better answer. Mars is entering into Gemini on August 20th and will continue in Gemini until March 25th, 2023. That's a huge thing. It's through your 1st house. It gives you a lot of energy. This is actually kind of a cool transit for some signs because it gives you more energy at a time in which the overall energy for the latter part of the year, and has been already for some time, is this grinding energy, slow moving, exhaustive. Many people are tired. There's just lots of tension in the air. And so that's Saturn, and especially Saturn square Uranus. And so Mars in your 1st house is a boon. It's a good transit. Just provide that it doesn't turn to frustration. So if you have any frustration like situations, or if you have a disposition to be frustrated, work on that, because Mars can accentuate that. But actually, this is a very proactive, ambitious, good transit for you. Mercury retrograde is going to be happening between your 5th and the 4th house. This involves something to do with family and also something that you truly want. This could be something like buying a house, renovating a house, changing some things around you. And the new moon, especially the one in September, is going to coincide with that. Also, the Cazimi in September on the 23rd. So the 23rd through the 25th of September is really in your favor. I really like 5th house transits because they mark desire. So what they represent is what you want, which direction you want to go, or something that you truly enjoy or admire. And so because there's a retrograde cycle, you might get a couple chances at repositioning yourself to get what you want. And so it's a good time to go after these things. And so this square for you, this square for you is better than others. The Grand Cross, sorry. This Grand Cross is better for you than others. It's more personal. It could get a little bit hurtful at times, but it's not the worst compared to other placements. What you need to fight, Gemini, is discouragement. So talking yourself out of things, or being your own worst enemy, so to speak, like not in the sense of stopping yourself from doing the things you want. But again, Mars in Gemini, I think, will help you a lot with that energy. And we have the World, which is the 9th house Saturn worldview things also through the Saturn transit in general, but especially now. Check your biases and check how you see the world and what you think of it. Ace of Cups, that's really nice. That's the first time I've seen it come up. So Ace of Cups is like a new lease on life, new feelings about things. It's very fifth house desire. And then we have Eight of Cups. That's a Saturn, Pisces Saturn. And then we have Justice, which is Libra, and that's the fifth house. So maybe detachment from some of the things you want and a shift of focus towards something new that makes you happy. Maybe something that made you happy up until now is causing you distress on a bigger picture, on a bigger level. And so through this retrograde cycle, Gemini, I think you might get a second chance, you might find something else that brings you joy that's not actually in some way detrimental to the overall life balance. So I think it's an improvement. And I think it's a genuine thing. So something that you find true interest in comes up and you leave something or someone behind towards something that you're at peace with, I think you've been struggling with something in your life that you do. And I think it doesn't work in your favor at this time. And it was something that you were supposed to enjoy, have happiness through, and it's just not been satisfying or fulfilling. And so through this time, I think you'll find this. This might be in the world somewhere. Find some other solution, find an alternative view. Okay? All right, so that's a message for Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising. Then we have Pisces. I did do Pisces before. So Pisces, hi Pisces, let's take a look at your message. So for you, this is between the 8th and the 7th house. So that's automatically going to talk in some way about relationships or address relationships. This is maybe actually breaking up with someone for some of you. This might be breaking up with the person that you should have broken up with, but you stuck around with. So this could be a change of heart that is overdue. And so, but this can also be like figuring out between yourself and someone else in terms of relationships. 7th house is tricky though, because it can be love relationships, but it can also be business and like work. So it could be like in a corporate office in which you're figuring out your bearings and working things out with others. So this could be like renegotiating terms, which is very Libra-like. And you might see the outcome again at the end of September with that new moon. So I think that new moon is going to be on the 25th of September, is coinciding really well with this retrograde, and whatever is being revised, that's what retrograde does. The new moon really accentuates it. So you might see the outcome from the 25th of September till about October 11th, somewhere in between there. So it might be a situation that emerges or something like that. There could be also a new relationship for you on August 27th, but we'll talk about that in a separate video. Okay. So Pisces energy is looking good, involving some kind of change. And overall, I feel like you're wanting to walk away from something or a situation or be more withdrawn, but something kind of pulls you back in. A situation pulls you back in. Okay, so we have the Last Judgment. So you're ready to make a final decision on something or someone and ready to kind of step out of the situation that you're dealing with. Devil is Capricorn. I don't want to worry you guys, but that is alongside the 3rd house. Maybe you saw something close to home. Maybe you had insight about something or someone that changed your perspective. And then we have the moon, which is your card, Pisces, Neptune. These are higher arcana cards, so big things going on for Pisces. And then we have Justice, which is Libra. So again, the 8th house. If you feel like you needed to leave a situation behind, you may actually really leave it this time. If you missed your opportunity to leave something before, or say your piece or remove yourself, this might be your opportunity to leave. big things are happening around you. These are all higher arcana. You may also say things that you intended to say before in this time through. And I feel as though you're moving from an unsettled energy about a situation to feeling satisfied. That doesn't mean that the relationship or the situation is over, but wherever there's discomfort, the way that things are, like you don't like how things are organized, this Mercury retrograde will allow you to readjust that so that at the end, justice is very satisfactory in the sense that, you know, those satisfying videos, it's like you get that sense of satisfaction that the right thing has been done, that there's some kind of closure, or there's some kind of completion, or there's some kind of like, there's no loose ends, that there's nothing left to be said. Whatever kind of completion point needs to happen is going to happen with the Mercury retrograde. And this will involve relationships as well. This can happen on two levels. It can happen in multiple facets of your life. So, but it's nice. It's very nice. It's almost like close relationships can be very hard, right? Right, Pisces? Because they're more complicated, they're closer, they're more nuanced. So sometimes there's more loose ends in those close relationships. So this is actually very satisfying that, you know, whatever has been going on will be reconciled in some way. Okay, so Aquarius, actually Aquarius was first last time. So let's revisit. I don't remember anything that I said to you the first time through, or do I? So, okay, so for you, Mercury retrograde starts in the 9th house. Saying something out that you've intended to say. This probably will lead to or involve a really large life change. I have a feeling that this really powerfully is interacting with the Grand Cross in your chart. So this means this Grand Cross in fixed signs, I feel like you're very unsettled with external energies, which means that something in your environment or something around you or people or the way things are, you're not tolerant of. And I don't mean tolerant like in a negative sense, like you're intolerant in the sense that you don't like it, you're not willing to put up with it, there's something wrong with it, and the pink elephant is annoying you, right? And it could be out in the open, but it's a private observation. And you want to get away from whatever environmental factors, external factors that are around you, and to pull away. So this retrograde cycle will in some way for you light the way or pave the way for that. August 13th through the 14th, when Mercury is at that 15th degree of Virgo, it's very likely that there will be some initiating sign of what's changing. So pay attention to that. The outcome may come September 25th or so. That's when the consequence. And if you don't want things to change, be very careful with your thoughts at this time, because if you think like, I want change, or if you bring a lot of that type of energy in, this is a transit in which it's very kind of, it can really cut things off, or, you know, really kind of cut things off or put things to an end. So if you don't want a situation to end, be very cautious with this energy. And in terms of, if you want to maintain your job or whatever is going on, you don't want to throw it all away, and you're frustrated with your environment, you might want to wait until November 7th. That's going to be a very cathartic moment for you, especially with regard to career, job, or anything else. So if nothing's moving for you until then, wait until November 7th. So that might be actually something. And especially if your situation is karmic, which means that it's attached to a whole bunch of nuanced energy, it might not have a solution until November 7th. So in other words, like, don't quit. It might actually improve November 7th. Okay. So we have Justice, which is Libra. So I'm not surprised that this is coming up. It's your clear ideas and thoughts about a situation. Mercury in Libra for you is actually really good each year. It clears your mind, because what Aquarians often deal with is too much information, too many details. So when Mercury enters into Libra, it cleans it all up, all those different ideas. 10 of Swords, Mars, this is Sun in Gemini. Mars is in Gemini this until March of next year. Where is Gemini in your chart? Oh, there it is. It's in the 4th house. Or excuse me, in the 5th house. This might actually be a sign that a casual relationship that you're in, like dating or something, or casually seeing someone, might come to an end. I have a feeling that for some of you, you'll no longer continue in a relationship that's not working for you. There's a worry about where that will go, or where, like, it feels as though some of you are staying in casual relationships because you don't know what the alternative would be. But I think that as time progresses through August and September, you'll really recognize how they're not working for you. And I think that you'll find your voice, which means that an idea is coming to the forefront, Aquarius. An Aquarian energy can be very, very insightful. And sometimes the current environment does not reflect what you're seeing yet. And so, in other words, you have premonitions and visions about where things are going, but if you were to sort of explain it to anyone, not enough has happened to kind of explain yet. So I think you're seeing something. I think you're having a vision about something. I think that you see, like, maybe your job is fine right now, but you're starting to see the missing pieces. So in other words, be patient with this. Your thoughts and your ideas will have a voice and will have an outcome, and be patient with it. If you're not really settled with the person you're dating and you don't know why, by the end of September, November, you will know exactly what the missing piece is. Like, everything's good. So you might feel irritated, especially in August, about what you're seeing or whatever you're hearing or the way things are. And part of the irritation may be because you don't know exactly the full picture. But as the fall comes in, you'll know exactly why. And that will lead to a new start anyway. So don't feel bad about it. Don't regret. And yeah, I think you'll be proven right in terms of your own feelings about it. I have an Aquarian moon, and I always struggle with this. Like, why am I thinking this? And then I don't think I can think of an example in which I had a strong feeling about someone or something and wasn't proven right, even if I acted against my discernment. That's the very Aquarian energy. Okay, Scorpio. So I didn't do Scorpio before, so I'm excited to see your energy now. So this is a lot to explain. I hope you guys like it. So for you, this probably in some way starts off some friendships for you in a new path. This is a wonderful year for you in friendships. This is a wonderful year for you in new beginnings, networking, interacting with others. There may be a situation in which you reach within yourself and connect with yourself in August, and then maybe even into September, and realize that you open yourself up to new people and open yourself up to new friends and new networks and people that you weren't willing to give a chance. You might be giving a chance towards. And this is very important because that will lead to new friendships, alliances. In other words, you're rethinking things. I've been thinking a lot about how our temperaments change. Things I hated doing 20 years ago, I'm like really into now. And things change about people. So in other words, Scorpio, this transit for me, my perception of this for you is that this is challenging you, or it's not even challenging. It's like something has changed about you. In fact, a lot has changed about you at this time with the South Node transit until July 2023. And so as Mercury retrogrades into the 11th house, some people that you may have not liked before, or some people that you may have not vibed with, I think that you may actually really find them pleasing at this time. So give people a second chance. I can't believe I'm saying this because I don't, I don't, but give people a second chance, rethink things through. And it doesn't have to be the same people. So if somebody wronged you, you don't have to go back to them. But like, maybe people that you didn't think you could get along with, maybe you can actually get along with them. So not the same person, but the same type of person. I think that there's like new friends to be had, Scorpio. Okay, so let's see the next message. So we have 3 of somebody hurt you. There we go. So hurt feelings, right? Okay, so 3 of Swords. You may have had bad experiences that led you to being unwilling to be open to some people. 2 of Swords, that's Moon in Libra. Somebody gave you some peace of mind, or life has given you peace of mind. 8 of Cups. This is a big letting go, hey? And that makes sense because of the South Node in the 1st house. Big letting go energy. And then we have Hierophant. So you're going to come to a big realization. It involves 7th house, which is partnership, friendships, and trust. So essentially, I think you're having a life lesson about your relationships with other people, and it came from like a hurt place, and then you have like your moment on top of the mountain realization of what it's all about, and your vibration raises, your awareness raises. That doesn't mean that you go back to people who hurt you in the past, but I think that moving forward, you will be resilient towards people and more open, people that you were afraid emotionally to be open to before. Those types of people now you'll welcome in more, and therefore you'll find better matches. And that's Uranus North Node conjunction. Very nice energy. I've told you this all year. Now I'm seeing how it's happening. So, you know, hurt feelings prevented you from being open to some people, but I think you've gone through the whole letting go process, and now Hierophant is like the teacher, the lived experience, right? You've had your lived experience, and now you're more trusting or willing or brave or any mix of that. And that will lead to good relationship changes. Okay, so Sag. Hey, Sag. I didn't do your reading the first time, so I'm excited to see what's going on for you. Sagittarius, let's see. Okay, so for Sagittarius, we have the 11th house, Mercury start, retrograde, and then going into your 10th house. Remember, you have a really nice, point on August 13th in which you could instigate something to do with your career. 13th through the 14th by 8 a.m. on the 14th Pacific time. You could instigate something to do with your career that could lead you to very successful things. So initiate on 13th through 14th, things that you want. But the Mercury retrograde period, someone might tell you something about career prospects, or you might hear something to do with career from friends or technology, because the 11th house is technology. And you get a second chance to build something out, or build something out in terms of your career, in terms of your career, in terms of things you want. In other words, you might get a bit of a tip from somebody on where to go and how to do things, and that could be very inspiring. I think overall the pattern, it might be frustrating how, in other words, there could be things that are happening for you in your work life at this time that are frustrating, logistic issues, like how things are scheduled and so forth. That might be frustrating. Don't apply that to an overall career picture, because they are incidental things, which means that they don't have what's going on that's frustrating for you now is not an implication on your overall career, on whatever is going on for you in terms of career overall. So don't let it distract you. So if your schedule is hectic, or if things are just too fast paced and disorganized, don't draw conclusions that this is not the career for you. In fact, this is saying start something new, start something fresh, and wait the other energy out. The energy may be around in some form until the end of the year, but wait it out. And in other words, don't quit your day job just because it's not so smooth at this time. Okay, so we have the Devil, which is Capricorn in the second house, something to do with money. And then we have the Ten of Wands, maybe too many commitments, too many little incidental things here and there. You might have a push and pull relationship with a coworker, which means that it could start off a little rocky, but it might actually work out really good by March of next year. We'll talk about that separately. Eight of Pentacles, hard work, apply yourself a lot. Mother of very good outcome. Listen, whatever's going on, head down, work hard. This is going to work out great. August 13th through the 14th, initiate the change that you want. It's going to lead to a good outcome for you. It's going to lead to good things. I think that at this time you may feel overwhelmed as simply things are busy and they may be a bit chaotic, but there's really good outcomes to where things are going, and you might want to tough out the rest of the year because there will be good outcomes on the other end of it. Okay, so that's a message for Sagittarius. And then we have Capricorn. So we're talking money. Sagittarius, let's see what Capricorn's got to say about money this time. So Mercury retrograde for you, it's huge. So this is one of the big Mercury retrograde cycles in a long time for you, and will continue to be after. So this is huge compared to other years. Mercury doesn't retrograde in the same area every year, right? So the fact that it's going right over your MC is a big deal. This could signal for some of you a career change, but this is all your instigation. This isn't you becoming a victim to outside forces. This is you really rethinking things through and seeing a new direction. On the relationship front, your relationships may be demanding at this time. Romantic relationships, they might be putting pressure on you. They may be very time exhaustive and distracting. So don't compartmentalize and separate the goals and the things that you're seeing as opportunities for yourself away from your relationship things that may have frankly gotten a little bit messy. Lilith is with Sirius until the end of August. I don't like this transit here, honestly, and it probably in some way has been difficult since the new moon in Cancer in July, July 16th, 17th or so, or maybe even before. So it's been like a long haul, and for you it was in the 7th house of partnership. So since July, your relationships may have been challenging, but that's a temporary thing. So don't let that spoil your outlook. You have really powerful 2 new moons, one on August 27th and one on September 25th, right at the top of your chart. These are beginning energies. You're beginning a new chapter. For you, this new chapter is very important. You may not frankly be seeing what it is yet. So in other words, things may be beginning for you and you may see the implications of them later. This is why this Mercury retrograde, whatever is coming up for you in terms of change, have a positive outlook. Deal with the situation that's in front of you. So whatever needs change or revision or whatever else, do with it what you need, but don't put too much time or mental effort into it. There could be a continual pattern of release of friends. So you might be going through a bit of a change with who your friends are and who you talk to and so forth. It's not necessarily all conflict driven, but it could be like, it seems as though your relationships with others could be quite exhausting at this time. So just be patient with that. Wait it out and be patient. The new things that are beginning are very good. And so just be patient with these new patterns. You may not be seeing them yet. So in other words, August, September, October, new beginnings start, but you're not meant to necessarily see what they are yet. So whatever is coming up, just deal with it at face value and try to minimize tension from your relationships affecting new things as much as you can. Okay, so we have the Three of Wands, new beginning, something coming in. That's wonderful sign. This is like a product of labor or something that you had put effort into. This could be a good reference that's coming in for you from someone you've done good work for in the past. Eight of Cups, a pattern of distancing, Saturn in Pisces, pattern of distancing and release. Excuse me. Pattern of distancing and release means you're emotionally distancing from some things in your life at this time. I intuitively feel as though it's a longer term thing, several months to a year. So don't expect like an overnight blow up or something like that. You'll probably find yourself being more secluded. It's interesting because Sagittarius chart, which is right next to yours, went through that a couple months ago, and now they're just moving very quickly towards new things. So it's very similar type of energy. Like you might feel reclusive or like before some things. I love this card in this position. So this is the Chariot, which is the card of Cancer. In other words, you might be perplexed by some things. Honestly, you might be perplexed by some relationships and not really knowing where to start or what to do. But the Chariot is saying that you'll find your answer. You'll find your answer ultimately. So be patient. If you don't really see what the answer is yet, just do the best with what you've got. The Mercury transit right over your MC line is very important. You're setting and be careful of what contracts you sign or what the contracts are. With a retrograde cycle between Libra and Virgo in that position, it might be to your favor to look at the contracts you've signed already and see if you can figure out better terms for yourself. So look at like paperwork, look at agreements, look at like the way that things are spelled out, your responsibilities on paper, and see if you can tweak them through this, set up a better system for yourself, improve your contracts. If you have contracts with clients or for clients, then maybe like rewrite those. All of that kind of stuff. Lay the foundation for some nice new moons and some new beginnings, okay? And if you really want an insight into what's going on, August 13th through the 14th is when Mercury transits 15 degrees of Virgo, and that's to your favor. That will give you an insight on an idea of where you want to see things go. So if you want to look for what that may be, see what's going on for you. It's a good day to journal, the 13th of August, okay? So good luck, Capricorn. Thank you for watching. And then we have Cancer. Hi, Cancer. Let's try again. So we have the moon next. Let's see, Cancer. Okay. So I didn't do your reading the first time, so this is the first time I'm looking at it. And so for you, it's actually like get back to home. Overall, I don't like Lilith at this degree at Sirius, which is a fixed star, and it has a lot to do with Lionsgate. I think it's a big thumbs down, and in some way Lilith has been dragging us down all year since July. Not all year, but July and August and into September. And it's in your first house. It's not as bad as, let's say, for Capricorn, which is in their 7th house, but you might feel frazzled, frankly. And there could be, with this Mercury retrograde, a huge focus on your early childhood and like thinking a lot about the past. You might actually find some new solutions for yourself with this transit. Such things, if you had difficult upbringing, if you had tough time with mother or with father, with family, these new moons, the Virgo new moon and then the Libra new moon in September, may in some way you might feel stress, and from that stress you might find something new in your heart about those situations. Not in terms of forgiveness. Forgiveness is good if you want it, right? But I don't preach forgiveness, so I'm not telling you to forgive anyone. I'm just telling you that maybe you'll find a different way of looking at those things that will provide you freedom in terms of whatever you need. I feel as though you might have gone through a pretty tough ending with some friends through recent times. And overall, I think that new friends are coming in, and this will happen by July of next year. So I think that maybe this is like a cleaning of the house and in terms of your life, and rethinking things through in terms of relationships, thinking about what kind of relationships you want to be in. You may have been hurt quite a lot this year in terms of friendship. And I think that there's a detachment phase that you're in right now. And you may meet friends already, but because of Lilith, I would wait till after September. I'm not saying if you meet someone great now, don't be friends with them. Be friends with them. But the real opportunity for friendship, I think, will come for you after September. So be patient with that. It'll work in your favor. There's going to be a lot going on for you on a personal level from August 20th, when Mars enters Gemini, until March 25th, 2023, when it exits. There's a retrograde cycle. There's a lot of introspection here. There's a lot of like looking at the world around you and just wanting to readjust things. So you're just beginning this transit. It's very referential to your early childhood, very deeply connected to your impressions of your memories or family experiences and so forth, school experiences, especially like elementary, junior high type of time. And I think that you may have a different way of looking at it. In fact, I've done these readings a couple times over, most of them, and I see a pattern of revisionism, which is Mercury retrograde. That makes sense. But there's also like finding a new truth, or people growing and finding different things important. Watch the Scorpio video, part of the video, for more info on that, because it was a very similar thing. And I kind of went into it a bit more, but essentially it just seems as though people are finding different things nice, or things that they didn't like before, now they like. And so you may also find new virtue and new things, and find new things that you like. This is the first time this card came up, and it's the Empress, so that's Venus. She's in your second house of money throughout the end of August. That's okay. And then we have Hierophant, which is Taurus, and that's in the 11th house. I will make a prediction that you will make exciting new friends before July 2023. So if you feel lonely baloney, you are going to find someone cool if you haven't already met them yet. I really thought maybe at the beginning of August you would have, but maybe you'll find something really fresh and new soon. And then we have the Eight of Cups, Saturn and Pisces. And then we have Justice, which is Libra. Okay. And this is in the 4th house. I just feel as though your relationship to an old ideology is also changing. So old ways of looking at things you're walking away from. So if you had a very particular type of belief system, or opinions based on a belief system, I think that maybe you're in a pattern of lived experience, seeing a different path. I also think that I also feel as though there's a lot of self-protecting going on, and that's maybe Lilith's silver lining in this, which means that you might be a little bit on the defensive in terms of things to do with you, which means that you don't put up with other people's stuff so much. I think that there's like a celebration of the self that's going on here, and sometimes when we're kids, we're convinced to go against ourselves, and then we live with that for years. So this childhood component means maybe you realize some things that you were convinced of as a child by others, or you convinced yourself, and you come to realize that you don't have to live that way anymore. So there's a element of freedom here, emancipation. And so we have like freedom achieved, unattachment, or like becoming less attached to things. with Pluto in the second house, in the seventh house, we've talked about how it can be despotic in relationships, which means overbearing partners. But like, let's be honest, and I have Venus in Cancer, so I'm not talking down to you in any way. But with Pluto in the seventh house, we can also say how we're demanding with others. So maybe part of the lesson of Pluto for you here is like being more like, I'll detach, I'll be less intense in this relationship or this situation. I'm not pointing fingers. It's just a rhetorical question. You know, sit with it, and if it resonates, that's great. If it doesn't, let it go. I think strong relationships with females too. So it's a whole like getting in touch with your heart. Mercury at the bottom here, getting in touch with your heart and going at things from a different perspective. Okay. And that can be involving like small t trauma. So, you know, people say trauma with a capital T, which is like intense trauma. Small t trauma is like minor things that we experienced in childhood that just, it doesn't necessarily mean horrible, huge things, but little things that are getting in the way that we figure out. So I hope you figure out whatever it is and you feel more freedom at the end of this Mercury retrograde. Okay, so last but not least, Virgo. I've done Virgo already once, so I'm a Virgo if you guys don't know, so I'm excited. And I kind of knew it was coming last. I didn't do it on purpose. Actually, I came to realize that I was filming without the audio when I was doing the Virgo reading, so this time there's audio, everything worked well, and I'm excited. Okay, so the other one was way faster too. This one I took an hour and a half, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Let me know below. Virgo, let's take a look at your Mercury retrograde. Happens from the second to the first house. Basically, you get a chance at some financial opportunities, but you're going to have to change yourself. So there's something within yourself that needs to modify for more success. And that could be personal empowerment. That could be the way you talk with yourself. Something about your mindset may be time to change. I think that in terms of where you want to go, there's external factors that are slowing you down at this time, and they may stick around until the fall. It's Saturn Uranus square, but I think you have a vision for yourself and nothing's going to hold you back ultimately. So be patient, do what you can. Whenever I'm in a situation in which I want to achieve something, but it's not time yet to do what I want to do, I do everything possible around it. So I like getting prepared. So let's say I want to build a car. I've never built a car. It's an example. Maybe I can't build the car quite yet, but maybe I can build parts of the car or learn how to build a car or something around it. So at this time, you might feel like your big picture vision is out of reach, and that's okay. But in the meantime, there may be something about yourself. There may be something that you can change. Mars is going to go through a massive transit in your 10th house, Virgo. This is going to be very good for your career. At first, it may feel rocky. In other words, in August and September, Mars enters Gemini in your 10th house on August 20th. So at first, there may be a big mess in your career. There may be a bunch of things in the way, and it's because the retrograde cycle that Mars will go through while it's in this transit for 9 months almost, September through March, so 6 months, whatever. At first, there's things to fix, in other words. So the retrograde cycle is happening, so you fix it. And so by March 25th, there's going to be a fundamental picking up of pace in terms of where you're going. So if you're going slowly in terms of achieving things right now or where you want to see things grow, be patient with them and just make sure you do your homework. 2 new moons in your first house on August 27th and then September 25th. That's going to be the catalyst. And when Mercury is at 15 degrees of Virgo on August 13th, that's where it's kind of the starting line of whatever's changing. So at first you're changing on your own, and then later on the external will change. And there are limiting factors on you maybe through October or November or so. But minor, not horrible things, but there may be things in the way. So, by the way, when I told you guys last time that you may really need to wait for good friends, I had several messages from people saying, 2025, listen, don't shoot the messenger. You might find friends before then, but that's when I see the sweet spot. So there may be a build up to that moment when you have really good friends. Until then, always don't be pessimistic when you listen to my videos. I'm telling you facts in terms of astrology, but that doesn't mean that you might have to wait until 2025 to have friends. It's just in 2025, it's looking really good for friends for you. And so until then, you might have friends and all these things, but you hit the sweet spot in 2025. I felt bad when I read those comments. So don't worry, guys. Friends are coming. Right now, focus on this. This is success, Virgo. This is genius ideas that take you places. So don't be distracted by the friends are waiting for you there. Okay. So you have the Magician, which is Virgo, Mercury. So whatever you don't that whole, like, it's a whole, like, adage, it's a whole, like, stereotype that we ruin the good things that are coming in by trying to impose the things that we want, right? And so go with the flow, Virgo. The things that are working in your favor, go down that energy, right? So if right now personality change to make monetary success and make monetary changes is in your favor, don't ignore it. Take that opportunity. You'll regret it later. You have the Six of Pentacles, which is Moon in Taurus. The Sun of Pentacles, sorry. That could be you, Virgo, beginning a new path. These are just the beginning stages of your world conquest or wherever you're going. So take your time. It's going to be good, right? You might have to wait for friends and things for Neptune to leave the 7th house, because you might not be quite clear on who's who and who's what in your life until then. And that happens in a couple years too. Hierophant. So things will become much more clear for you socially soon, but don't push it yet. We have the Hierophant, which is Taurus. And then we have 7 of Swords, Moon in Aquarius. Don't back off of your, there's a really strong message here of, if you want to achieve something, and for those of you who want to achieve something academically, don't pull back. 7 of Swords could be being shy, knowing what you want to do, but being shy of going there. So have very strong commitment to where you want to see things grow, and you're smart enough. Stuart Smalley, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and dosh gone it, people like you. So go after. Don't psych yourself out, and don't be focusing on the things you don't have. Look at the opportunities and embrace them, okay? And lots of energy to you, Virgo. I wish you guys all the best. I hope you enjoyed this video. Members, I will be posting the mutable sign video in the description when it's ready. I'm pretty tired, so it might be tomorrow morning. Thank you for watching. See you guys. Happy Mercury retrograde. Bye.